Mr. Melillo. I hope I didn't butcher your name. For 6 minutes, welcome to the committee. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate the opportunity to be here today. I would like to thank our witnesses, of course, for joining us to speak on these important concerns, and I trust that you're all doing well and staying safe. Conservatives know that many students are going to have difficulty funding their future education or even struggling just to get by right now as they cannot find employment. And that's why we supported the government's student benefit legislation. However, I have had many conversations with business owners who have concerns about the program, and that's why we advocated to make it more flexible. As it states now, Section 5.2 of the Act identifies applicants as students who apply on the basis that they are seeking work, but are unable to find it. It further states that they must attest that they are seeking work, and that the minister is to make available information through the job bank if there's employment opportunities. So my question to our witnesses is, do you believe that these provisions are adequate to ensure that the benefit does not disincentivize work for students?
Oh, I believe that question was directed to Ms. Town or Mr. Garrett. Is that right, Mr. Melillo?
Yes, that's right. If they could answer that.
Hello. Thank you for the question. I think that is generally something that we would like to see. We have a hypothetical, and it's more than hypothetical, about somebody who chooses to work as a grocery clerk. If they earn $999, they can receive a benefit, but if they were to earn $1,001, depending on what levels are prescribed in regulation, they would suddenly lose a lot of money. The kind of policy that you describe is valuable to us for a different reason as well, which is the predictability of income for students. Not knowing whether you're going to be scheduled for shifts that will put you over that limit is something that might make students' financial planning difficult. So that is something that we would like to see investigated. Of course, I don't have a major in public policy, so I will leave it up to policy folks to figure out what structure works towards those ends.
Thank you. I definitely understand that, and my apologies for the confusion on who was to answer, but I'll try and keep this going directly with you, but if anyone else has a point to make, please jump in. I was concerned about that because I'm someone who was a student very recently, actually just last year, and I know that I wouldn't have wanted a long gap in my resume if there was work available, and we all know that employment opportunities offer a lot more than just the income. One gets to gain experience, learn new skills, build relationships that will help in future studies or careers. So I suppose just to expand on that, do you believe that the federal government should provide alternative programs for students who would rather be working?
Thank you. And again, through you, Mr. Chair, I think that the government stepping in some form to either provide work or help connect students with work is going to be a policy that is going to be beneficial. I think you identified very correctly that that students don't want a gap in their resume, nor do they want a gap in their pocketbooks. We see experiential education as something that is going to be very key. We know that some programs have already been rolled out by the government that we saw in their background. We're interested to see where those go and how quickly they roll out and for what duration they exist. But we definitely see the opportunity to have students at work is something that is positive, and I think many students do as well.
Absolutely, and there's a lot of concerns, particularly with our agriculture and agri-food sectors right now, and that hits home in my riding as well. Places like Freshwater Cuisine, who are doing great work but facing difficult times, and without hoping not to be repetitive here, but our party proposed this specific plan to match youth to jobs in these agriculture and agri-foods industries. Do you believe that something like that might be more beneficial to some youth than the emergency payouts?
Well, I'll just start by saying that it definitely resounds in my riding as well. And my father making use of my own labor on our own farm was something that I'm sure he would be happy to have a hand to replace him. But on a more general note, I know that we have a variety of students and young people across Canada who are going to be affected by a loss of income, and matching their skills to jobs that they can fulfill is going to be something that is very important. I know we have had the opportunity to, I remember hearing from a student on the day that the program was announced who said, you know, it's something I'd be willing to try, and I think that is something that some students may look into. I am not able to comment on the specifics of your plan. I apologize because I have not read it. However, I think it's something that probably merits further investigation, and further investigation, especially insofar as how motivated students might be to take those jobs in particular.
Thank you, Mr. Gerritsen, and thank you, Mr. Melillo.